Hey, yo, my friends from Iran, Dorotostan, Manya Rapa Amanyastam. Today I'm gonna take a look at an Iranian newcomer band. They're called 1401 with the song Royaye Azadi. And I got an explanation file for this because I don't have subtitles, but it will be pretty interesting. I think it's a protest song as far as I got, and I got message for the song on Instagram. I'm going for it. We're gonna analyze. I haven't read the whole file yet, but we're gonna take a look at this after the intro.
Ungewiss, doch ich steh wieder auf. Lass sie reden jeden Mist, nein, ich gebe nicht auf. Wenn der Regen auf mich pisst, ich begeb mich unter den Baum, wo mich wenigstens nicht trifft. Und drehe ich den Knauf und betrete das Licht.
Now, I don't even know. Yes, sir. It's actually a music video. Look, we see Mahsa Amini right here. In the beginning, let's just start, man. Let's just start. I will take a look at the file time to time. Said Ayatollah. No. All right. So that was the intro. We got the music starting right now. I want to go on the intro real quick. Where is it? Right here. So there were said some things in the beginning. It said all of us have a dream, and this dream is nobody will be able to suppress a minority. That's from Hamid Esmailion's speech in Berlin, who lost his wife and daughter on the Ukrainian flight 752 shot by REGC forces. So we know that actually I think he was even the one who organized all these protests, right? After that it says no one will dare to imprison a worker for writing or go on strike from work or tortured or even killed. So basically that's what we're fighting for. That we can say our opinion without getting imprisoned, killed, and tortured, right? So this was the intro. We will have a little bit of more music video right now, and actually we've seen a lot of faces now, I think. So, lyrics starting now. I want to go on the video clip real quick because this is actually important. We've seen scenes displayed from victims who got killed in this revolution in this order. First, we know her. Nika Shakarami was shot first. Then Hadis Nayafi, we know her. There are more and more names, like these are just a couple of victims of this Iranian revolution. So we got Hanae Kia, we got Khoda Noor Leger, and Sarina Esmailzadeh, Mershad Shahid, and of course Mahsa Amini. They are all victims of this Iranian regime in different constellations, like either imprisoned and tortured and killed. And I don't want to say anything like about the details in this case, right? I think it's worse enough, right? So let's continue real quick.
ترس و وحشت تو کوچه های خلوت به جای این همه بدی رویایی دارم به جای انتظار توی صف سفارت به جای پرسه تو کوچه های غربت به جای فحش و ترس و قتل و تهدید به اعدام به جای این همه جنایت.
Look, it's interesting because from the sound it already sounds like a punk rock song. This is basically the music of protest. So we've seen basically we have lyrics now. They said like they all start with instead. Like instead of regrets, there are pictures shown by Mariam, a genius mathematician who escaped from Islamic Republic and won the top prize in mathematics as the first in the world. Then, instead of degradation, instead of feeling dizzy, feeling mute, unheard, and feel homeless, instead of fear and of nightmare in the closed alleys, dead-ended empty streets, and instead of all this awfulness, I still have a dream. And all these scenes were covered with extra, like, all these lyrics were covered with extra scenes in the music video that are directly connected to real things that happened in Iran. So of course we know, like, degradation, of feeling dizzy, of feeling mute, of nightmares. We know about all these things, but they're directly connected to specific things that happened in Iran, right? We have instead of waiting in long queues to just get a visa for an embassy, instead of wasting time searching in the streets of foreign countries abroad, instead of receiving insults to be killed, threats, curses, and being told you or your child will be executed, hanged. We know all these things are actual problems. Like, just imagining your child isn't safe in the streets because it's going to a protest, instead of all these events as a big crime. So, oh boy, this is actually about the lyrics right here. I think it said 020. All right, good. I think we should continue right here.
زندانیان در 3 دقیقه محاکمه و اعدام نمی شوند. نویسندگان تبعید نمی شوند. اقلیت‌های مذهبی سرکوب نمی شوند. کارگران حق اعتراض و اعتصاب دارند. خبرنگاران دزدیده و ناپدید نمی شوند. هزاران نفر در خیابان کشته نمی شوند. کودکان کار آرزوهایشان را دارند. باد در
Alright, so actually, I think it's not so much about the musical aspect here, it's really about what we're right here talking about. I think there are even more, like, it wasn't even singing anymore, I think it was more talking right now. We had this in the beginning, I have a dream. Not to have. Prisoners judged within 3 minutes at their verdict and execution. We've heard so many people in Iran were had their death sentence spoken in a short time after they being tortured and being forced to make a false confession, right? So, I have a dream, not to have authors, writers exiled or imprisoned. So we have a lot of, like, for example, Ronagi, who was in prison now and went on a hunger strike for a long time. We still, I think he got released maybe a week ago. I'm not 100% sure. Not to have minorities or different religious backgrounds suppressed. I think we speaking about like, because of course it's the Islamic Republic in Iran, and if you, like, are in another religion, like we know, for example, Balochistan is very far behind in structure and all this kind of stuff. So we have certain regions, the Kurds, for example, we have certain regions in Iran who are very much disadvantaged in Iran and treated by and threatened by the Islamic government forces. To have workers the rights to protest and strike, that's easy. Not to have reporters kidnapped and disappeared. This is about the news reporters who bring themselves in danger to show the world what crimes are actually happening, right? Not to have thousands of people killed. I mean, yeah, we don't have the actual numbers. We have the official numbers from the Islamic Republic that are in the hundreds. I think, for my part, the casualties are in the thousands already. To have labored kids, underaged work slavers, wishes and dreams come true. This is a general problem that we have workers from Afghanistan and child workers from Iran itself who have to work because there's like they have basically nothing. It's not enough what their families can do, right? To have the wind blowing freely through a lady's hair without getting punished. It's about the hijab thing, of course, because you, as a woman, you can show your hair open in public. Then we have not to have kid students being thrown off buildings and heights. This was, for example, like in a couple of incidents where the Islamic Republic stated people suicided after arrest, and actually they were killed. I mean, we know that way. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, everybody knows that. Not to have these kid students' heads being smashed on the sidewalks. Kids and students, we know about so many underaged, like children who got killed in these protests, and we know that the universities have been one major goal for the Islamic Republic to get shut down, because they are one of the main voices of these protests of the revolution. Not to have snipers shooting people from the rooftops. We have seen pictures. I can't even talk about that. Where you think they're in war with their own citizens. They're shooting at unarmed people with snipers, right? And have oil as a blessing gift, not as a disaster. So this is actually a pretty difficult point for Iran, because oil should make the country rich, but it actually only makes the regime and the supporters of the regime rich, and is reason for the disaster we have for the majority of the citizens living in Iran. Because if there wouldn't be the oil, there wouldn't be the interest of the Islamic Republic at all, because it's all about the money, and we know that. So actually we can continue, I think. Look at these pictures, man. Well, I think what they're showing right here are different victims, but some of them are pretty sure government forces, Basiji and kind of stuff. So not just the protesters are victims. We have victims under the victims under Islamic Republic forces as well. So, or let's say not call them victims, let's call them casualties, right? Look, and we've seen a lot of scenes right here where Muslims basically in Iran getting their turban knocked off their head, and this is really disrespect to them, very obviously. We are at 2:30 now. I can take a real quick look right here. Yeah, it's basically a lot, because this was the instrumental part, but we have a lot. I can read quick. As you have some horrible back and forth scenes between the revolutionary side and the police being played, including a person set on fire, as well as young kids bouncing and knocking off the turbans of the clergy mullahs as a sign of disrespect towards the evil system, I believe. Yeah, I mean, this is basically what I said before. And then the horrible scenes are back and forth. Like, that's what I mean, casualties on both sides and hurt person on both sides, right? All right, let's continue. Oh, he's just getting kicked away, man. Holy heck.
به جای یأس و ندامت، به جای اعتراف زوری در دهان ملت، به جای این همه سکوت ناشی از جنایت، به جای این همه بدی رویایی دارم، رویای آبادی ایرانم.
Alright, so we got lyrics now and some scenes in the video of women giving interviews or something. So let's see what we got instead right here. So again, the lyrics are about instead of Navid sentenced to death. Navid, who is Navid? Okay, let's skip this. Instead of projecting hatred towards Iran, instead of hate, instead of anger, instead of blood or spilling blood, instead of entitlement and double standards or contradiction. All right, this goes pretty much into detail because we have like emotions right here. Instead of hate, instead of anger, instead of spilling blood, we want to have good emotions, right? While anger is actually the fuel right now that's leading the revolution towards something, right? Instead of feeling projecting hatred. This one is really a little bit weird because it says feeling hatred towards Iran. I think it's rather the Islamic Republic, like the government, not like they don't hate Iran. They could, like, this doesn't make sense. This is not the point right here. And double standards or contradiction. I mean, I think this is most likely about lies of the politicians, and double standards is referred to Canada, US, and Europe right here. This is what it said. A picture of a well-known son of other regime leaders who stole Iranians' money and spent in Canada, US, EU countries as they live lavishly with many freedoms. Ah, okay. So they don't mean Canada, US, and Europe. They mean like people who suppress their own citizens but live in free democracies themselves with all the money they earned from the oil and from like all this kind of stuff, you know. This is what is meant with double standards here. So we got these very evil people right here. I mean, this is, I don't know, man. Instead of segregation and oppression, this is really easy. Instead of isolation, hopelessness, and regrets. This easy as well. Instead of false confessions forced inside the mouths of the nation, that is when people confess their crimes after being tortured. We had this as well. Instead of all the silence forced on people after all of these committed crimes. So basically, this is the hope of the Islamic Republic. We just kill enough people so the rest of them are so scared that they don't say anything anymore, right? Instead of all this badness, I have a dream. In reference what Martin Luther said, I have a dream. So this is interesting that they actually taken a reference to Martin Luther King in this right here, because that was about the suppressed Afro-Americans in the US, right? So oppression, we find that everywhere in the world, right? But especially, of course, this is about Iran in this case. And now we going for the final part here real quick. Oh, reaction is already long. I'm talking too much, I guess. I like that they're showing the passport right there. Now what we can actually hear right here in the lyrics, what I can understand is they repeating in the beginning of the sentence with baraya, what means for or because, something like that. It actually says different sentences. The one is for rebuilding my country, Iran, for my friends and some of them who don't live around me in my Iran, like for the people who fled out of the country, for those who don't want to stay in Iran or have already migrated from Iran. So basically, get in a visa, get in out of trouble. So it's positive. They understand why people leave the country. Like this is very clear. For those girls who can live anywhere else except for Iran, that can feel a bit safe. So basically, they can't leave the country, but for the mother who is still waiting for her son, right? Because like, see there were older pictures from the Evin prison on screen, and I mean, like, this mother is waiting for her son to come back from the most notorious prison in Iran, and she never knew about how her son is, how his condition is, right? And for Iran and for its future, showing two passports with the lion and sun symbol, and there's actually the flag is always in my thumbnail. Dreaming to be brought back, reference to the Iranian passport before the 1978 revolution, where you was free to travel around, right? Basically. So powerful, among the first ranked countries to travel anywhere on the planet without visa. So basically back then, that's something that I didn't know, that in Iran you could travel so freely without visa before the Islamic Revolution. I didn't know that. All right, let's go for the very final part here.
ایرانی بودن نمایه اندوه که نعمت است، دریای خون بین آدم ها در جریان نیست، هواپیمایی در آسمان منفجر نمی شود، مدارس در لمان هستند، کسی را قضاوت نمی کند، کشورهای همسایه در آرامش هستند، جنگ در اوکراین به پایان میرسد. رویای آزادی.
So I have to say, they put a lot of effort to make really a lot of content in this song. I'm absolutely blown away by how much they put in here. So basically, it's going again on the "I Have a Dream," like on the Martin Luther King quote, and we have some more lyrics right here. To not have calling myself Iranian with sorrow and fact, so you feel sorrow when you say I'm Iranian, right? This is really hard to have calling myself Iranian as a blessing, so the other way around. I want to be proud to be Iranian. To not have a sea of blood flow seen between Iranians, because there's war in Iran between the people, right? Like between the majority unarmed and a minority armed, basically, right? To not have a plane exploded in the sky. We know about the Ukrainian flight of civilians who died by IRCG forces. This was one of the biggest crimes from the Islamic Republic, but like one of the major, like they just shut down a plane. I mean, I don't know. To have schools be safe always. If I'd be living in Iran, my kids sending to school, and I would be scared police going to school and killing the children. This is what happened. To not have people being prejudiced towards each other. Prejudice towards each other. A woman with hijab swearing and spreading hate on the bus against those not wearing the hijab. Oh, okay. This is about like a woman who wants other women to wear a hijab. All right, this is really weird. This is really, but on the other hand, I can understand like that a Muslim woman who is convinced of this. But you don't force that on other people, right? That doesn't make sense. To have our world, neighboring countries not threatened and live in peace. yeah, I mean, which countries get threatened by Iran, by the Islamic Republic? This is something that I might know about from you. I know there was an Iraq-Iran war. We know about Syria. We know, yeah, actually, I don't know which countries are getting threatened by the Islamic Republic. Maybe like it says neighboring countries, not the it doesn't say the United States or Europe that might be threatened by the Islamic Republic. I don't think that is meant right here. To have Ukraine liberated, that is interesting because Iranians really stand with Ukraine as well. That is something that is really interesting. I know that Russia and Iran are kind of in the same boat, like with their regimes. They're working together. And the last sentence, to have freedom. Azadi. I think we can finish that off. I won't leave out the outro this time because the reaction got so long. I wish you the very best. Stay healthy, stay well. And don't forget to go on their YouTube channel. The link is down in the description. Farewell, my friends.